Monday Night Football is here. We have a primetime AFC East divisional matchup. New York Jets with a new head coach, and then also the Buffalo Bills. Who's going to get it done here tonight? I have three best bets on the way, and they're three player props, so you guys can use them in your daily fantasy prize picks entries. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? It's your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video where I'm bringing out my favorite picks and plays of the day as we try to get to the bag together and make some money. A full weekend we had here on the channel. Hopefully you guys were able to cash in with us pretty successfully Friday and Saturday. Let's go through the winners real quickly. On Friday, we went 2-1 on the channel. We got UNLV's team total right. What an ugly cover on the spread in that game, right? UNLV was up 41 to like 7 at halftime, and they don't even cover the spread. That's tough, but we took their team total. We'll get it done. Billy Edwards pass yards for Maryland. We also cashing on that. Those college football passing yards have been cash money for us. The only loss on Friday was the Padres in the first 5. That was tough. They lose. They didn't score running like 20 straight innings. Kind of hard to handicap that. Nothing you could do on that. 2-1 day on Friday. Now on Saturday, we did not do too shabby. We had a full slate, a reel that I gave you guys, 7 winners. We went 5-2. Army team total cash. Clemson's team total cash. Clemson on the spread cash. BYU on the spread cash. Kyle McCord's passing yards cash. The only losses, Jackson Dart's pass yards. We needed 285. He finished with 284. So that was tough. And then we lost on our teaser as we had taken West Virginia plus the points, and we had also taken Oregon plus the points. Oregon got it done outright, but West Virginia, they sold that. A very, very bad call that went the opposite way from them, that changed the entire momentum on the game. We were so close to a 7-0 sweep, but we'll take the 5-2 day. And then yesterday was a little bit of an ugly day. Weren't able to give out a show. I do apologize about that, but on Twitter, I gave you guys some winners. So if you're not following Noble Liver on Twitter, you guys need to make sure you're doing that. Spencer Rattler's pass attempts, we got that done. Joe Flacco's pass attempts, we got it done. Andy Dalton's pass attempts, we got it done. Jared Goff's pass yards, we got it done. So our quarterback props went really well for us, but our other bets, our teasers, that's what hurt us. We took the Eagles and Saints on a teaser. The Saints, I mean, they just couldn't stop a nosebleed yesterday. Buccaneers dropped 50 points in them. Kind of hard to cover the spread when you do that. Jameer Gibbs, longest rush, we needed 16 yards. He finished with 15, so we lost on the hook. And then we also lost on our total teaser as the Chargers and Broncos, Steelers and Raiders. I had bumped up the total in both of those games to take the under, and both of those bets lost, right? It's kind of hard to see that. I mean, they didn't want to play any defense, but 11-6, a full weekend full of games. We were here on the channel. We cashed in, so you would have finished up. Right now, 6 games above 500 for the month of October, 9 games above 500 in the NFL. And look at that college football record, 34-16. So if you guys are not tapping into what we're doing here on the college slate, I don't know what you're doing. And if you're not tapped in, hey, smash that subscribe button, like the videos. We're here every single day, all right? Let's dive into these winners real quickly in this Monday Night Football matchup. I've got 3 player props on the way. We're going to go pretty quickly here today. Let's get into these winners. For our first best bet of the day, let's go to a quick little player prop parlay. So my overall analysis in this game, guys, I really don't know who's going to win. I was thinking about taking the teaser of the Jets plus 7 and the under 47. I do lean towards the under. Primetime unders have still been cashing at a 60% hit rate. We saw that yesterday in Sunday Night Football, but I just don't know. There's a lot of question marks around both of these teams. We've got the dead cap bounce opportunity for the Jets after firing Robert Saleh. They've got their new interim coach there, which is the defensive coordinator. So they should be fired up at home to really make a statement, to really be able to prove something. We know this Buffalo Bills team, they look really good at times, and then in other times it's just like, what the hell do they have going on? So that's like really annoying to see, right? Because you got the Jets who are 2-3, and then you've got the Bills who are 3-2, but they're 1-2 on the road, and they've dropped back-to-back losses against the Ravens and against the Texans. And that's what's got me a little bit scared about the under, even though I'm thinking about teasing it, is just because this is a Bills defense that gave up 35 points to the Ravens. They gave up 23 points to the Texans. We saw them give up 28 points to the Cardinals. And I'm not saying this Jets offense is as good as any of those teams, but I mean, new head coach, you never know what can happen. So as a result, we're just going to stick with player props today. And for my first player prop, we're going to go with Josh Allen here. We're going to go with Breece Hall. We're going to go Josh Allen, 27 plus rushing yards, Breece Hall, 3 plus receptions. That gets you to minus 115 odds. I really like that. Now, the reason why I like that is, one, if you guys look at the numbers, Josh Allen has struggled struggled historically against the Jets. They have his numbers. That's why everybody's on Josh Allen's interception right now today. I'm not opposed to that pick, but Josh Allen hasn't thrown an interception, and he's my fantasy quarterback, so I got to be a little bit biased here. But overall, he is somebody that you have to take a look at and say, hey, with the wide receiver weapons that he has, and then also when you think in mind that James Cook was been banged up this week, Coleman is really starting to find his rhythm, but he hasn't been doing too hot. Also, wide receiver Khalil Shakir, he's been banged up all week with an ankle injury. So there's just really, not the weapons that Josh Allen's used to from the wide receiving core. And because of that, I feel like he has to rely on his legs a little bit more than, maybe in years past. I mean, he always was a guy who always scrambled, but in close games where you have a really close spread here, we know when in doubt, Josh Allen uses his legs. We saw that last week, a close game against the Texans, a 3-point game. Josh Allen ran for 54 yards in that game. And against the Jaguars, he ran for 44 yards. Against Arizona, 39 yards. So this is a guy that when he's in a situation where he needs to utilize his legs, he will do it. And if you look at some of the previous game logs against this Jets team, he's gone over this number in 4 of the last 5 games. Last year, he had only 15 yards carried in their second matchup, but in the first game, he had 36 yards. Back in 2022, 47 yards, 86 yards, and 63 yards in their 3 matchups there. So because of that, I think that this isn't one of those things where Josh Allen's going to utilize his legs, especially in a close matchup. We know the corners that the Jets have there in Sauce Gardner and some of the other guys that can really cause some havoc. I think this is going to be more of a lower scoring affair. Josh Allen utilizing his legs, I don't think that's a bad look. Now, Breece Hall is a guy that I think that is going to be able to catch the ball several times today, because when you just look at it, he's just been a very consistent catalyst for this Jets offense. And when you see that the Bills are going to be without their starting linebacker in this matchup, it gives you a little bit more of a opportunity to say, okay, hey, we might get some dump offs, we might get some quick checkdowns. And when you keep in mind that Breece Hall is a guy that when he is catching the ball, the Jets are most effective. Look at his numbers to start the year. 5 receptions in game 1 against the 49ers, and that was a competitive game, even though they lost that game by 13. Second game against the Jets, he had 7 catches. Third game against New England, 4 catches. Last week, he had 3 catches in a 6-point loss. So this is the thing. When Breece Hall is catching the ball out of the backfield, and especially when he's able to break off those longer runs, he should be able to get it done. I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to look for him a little bit often today. These are 2 squares that are kind of teased down, but I do like it. Josh Allen, 27 rush yards. Breece Hall, 3 receptions. We're going to go with that for our first pick of the day. Now, for our second best bet of the day, we're going to stick with Mr. Breece Hall here, and you guys might know what I'm going with. I'm going to go with his longest rush, over 14.5 yards, minus 115 odds. Now, I'll keep in mind that in the last 3 weeks, Breece Hall has not hit this number. Last week, he had a 10-yard rush. In the week before that against the Broncos, he only had a 3-yard rush, but that was only because he had 10 carries for 4 yards, so really that was just a terrible game in general for him. And then in the week before that against New England, he had a 10-yard rush, but in his first 2 games to start the season, he had a 30-yard rush against the Titans and a 16-yard rush against the 49ers. That's what they have to get back to, that type of form. The interim head coach for the Jets say in the press conference that they're going to look to run the ball a little bit more. And Rodgers throwing it 50-plus times in a game he did last week, you don't need him to do that. For Aaron Rodgers to be most effective and that Jets offense to really open up and Garrett Wilson to not get every single throw that's going his way, they have to let the run game be a threat. And this is a Bills defense that has been gashed on the run this year. Right now, they're bottom 10 in the NFL in yards per game, but also look at some of the opposing running backs that they face. James Conner busted a 20-yarder. Devon Kane, 17-yarder. Travis Etienne, a 22-yarder. Derrick Henry, 87-yarder. Cam Akers, a 15-yarder. So when you look at it, hey, all 5 games and opponents that they face this year, the running back has gone over this total. So for me, Breece Hall, he's gone under 3 of the last 5 games, but he started off the season strong. New head coach here. New energy is going to be revitalized in this team. I'm expecting them to go back to what was working for them in like week 1 or 2. Breece Hall getting a steady dose of the run. Give me over 14.5 yards as our second best bet of the day. For our third and final pick of the day, we're going to go with a little bit of an ugly square, but I like it. And that's Mr. Tyler Bass, over 1.5 field goals made, minus 110 odds. So I don't really typically give out kicker props here, but I really like this one here. Shout out to Prop Bomb on Twitter. I saw him. He had a great write-up on this, but I also agreed with it when I saw kind of some of the other analysis I was kind of putting together with this. Tyler Bass has made at least 2 field goals in 7 of the last 8 meetings against the Jets, dating back to 2020. So you can't be too mad at that. And he recently has had 3 attempts in 2 of the last 3 games. So that's good to see. Now, when you also look at at the numbers, I saw this stat and I liked it. And it said the Buffalo Bills are slight favorites in this game, right? Obviously, -1's kind of like a pick 'em. But in games where the Jets have been an underdog, right? Or the opposing team, who are now the favorite, have at least attempted 2 field goals in 12 of the 13 games. So the volume is there. And when you look at it, the Jets really take pride on playing that bend, don't break defense. So you can get all the way down to the red zone, but they're still not trying to give you a touchdown. And that's key because when you look at it, right now the Jets have the 6th lowest red zone conversion rate, meaning that teams are only scoring a touchdown on about 42% of the time, which means that a lot of field goals are being kicked. Defensively, the Jets have the 4th highest field goal rate of any other team in the league. That means that teams are kicking a lot of field goals on them, averaging about 2.4 field goals per game. Obviously, you can have a half a field goal, so they're averaging about 3 field goals per game. And then look at some of the opposing teams that faced the Jets recently. Jake Moody, and to start the year, he was 6 for 6 in that game in terms of field goals. Lutz for Denver, he went 1 of 2 in that game. Ricard for Minnesota last week, 3 for 3. So these are guys that have all consistently been able to go over this number. Even the Titans, they had Nick Folk, he only had 1 field goal attempt, but Will Levis, he fumbled the ball inside the 10-yard line, which could have easily been another field goal attempt. So these are all things that I'm looking at. And when you see that the Bills offense, that is banged up, like I mentioned earlier. James Cook practiced limitedly this week. Khalil Shakir, same thing. Josh Allen doesn't really trust his offensive weapons in the red zone. He's going to look to run at times, which you might want to take an anytime touchdown. But at the same time, that might open it up for some failed 3rd down conversions. You might not want to go for it on 4th down in such a close game where every possession can matter and a field goal could be the difference. I like Tyler Bass here. I'm going Tyler Bass here. I'm going over 1.5 field goals as our final best bet of the day. Well, that's it for me today, my friends. 3 quick winners that I'm giving you guys on this Monday Night Football slate. Give me a player prop parlay with Josh Allen, 27 rushing yards, Breece Hall with 3+ receptions. I do like Josh Allen's carries as well. You can't tease them down on my book, but over 6.5 carries, I do think is a good look as well. Breece Hall, longest rush, over 14.5 yards, as I expect him to be able to break one against this Bills defense. And then Tyler Bass, over 1.5 field goals, as I'm expecting more of a lower scoring affair. I think the field goal kickers are going to be involved in this matchup. I like those 3 winners here on this Monday night card. I might have 1 or 2 added plays. I'm looking at also in the MLB, as we've got the ALCS and the NLCS today. So I'll maybe add 1 or 2 baseball plays. So if you want that, click the link in the description, join the free Discord group, and I've got you guys. All right, my friends, let's get to that cheddar. Let's get to that money, and I'll see you on tomorrow's video. Later, guys.